So, Spencer.
Yes.
I was doing some reading.
Okay.
Today. My, what the fuck am I reading? You know. No, you don't.
No.
I told you many times, but you don't remember. The Temple of Dawn by Yukio Mishima.
Okay.
Classic Japanese literature.
Is that part of, like, that trilogy or series or something?
Yeah.
You were trying to finish?
It's the third of the tetralogy. Well...
How many is in a tetralogy?
4.
Okay.
I don't know why it's a tetralogy. Wouldn't it be a quadrology? I don't know. I don't make the rules. I just enforce them through violence.
See, I thought maybe, the way it sounded, I thought maybe it was like 2 trilogies or like something. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
the way that it sounds.
I never looked up the fucking terminology there. Anyway, I'm like 100 pages away from finishing. I came across an interesting bit. It starts off, our protagonist, he's like 57 now because he's aged throughout the series.
Okay.
His name is Honda, and he was a lawyer, a judge, all this stuff. Well, now he moved out into the country, and he enjoys his walks. And he likes to end his walks by going to a bookstore. And I was like, oh, I like this. This is peaceful. And Mishima does an amazing job of painting this beautiful scene of Honda just walking, and he goes to get his piece, and he goes into a bustling bookstore. And then it immediately goes south really bad.
What?
I mean, it's still written. When I read it, I had a screenshot of this. When I read it, you're going to be like, oh, that's, very well written, but you're like, icky.
So, but this is at the end of the book, at the end of the story?
No, I got 100 pages left.
So, but close.
Yeah, it's near in the end. So I'm going to read you. It's just a couple paragraphs here. That's all it is, and then it just goes back into the story. But I was like, this is a really weird thing to throw in here. Honda circled around in the congested store, bumping into customers. As he could find nothing he liked, he went to the shelves on which popular magazines were displayed. There, a young man in a sports shirt, apparently a student, was engrossed in a magazine. From a distance, Honda could see that he had been staring at a single page with extraordinary earnestness. Approaching on the right side of the youth, he casually glanced at the leaf. This is getting a little gross. He saw a poorly printed, opaque blue photograph of a naked woman sitting tied with a rope and leaning to one side. The boy never took his eyes from the magazine, which he held in his left hand. And this is like a couple years after World War II, so we're talking late 40s, maybe early 50s at most. Honda noticed that the youth was strangely rigid. The neck, profile, and eyes were somehow unnaturally strained like those of a figure in some Egyptian relief. Then he saw clearly that the youth's right hand, which was thrust into his trouser pocket, was violently and mechanically moving. Honda left the bookstore at once. His stroll had been spoiled. Why had he had to do such a thing in front of people? Didn't he have the money to buy the magazine? If that were so, I would have paid for it myself and given it to him. Yes, why didn't I do that right away? I really shouldn't have hesitated to give him the money. And then he goes on to think to him, on his walk back, which, his walk was spoiled now, but on his walk back to his house, he deeply contemplates the situation that just happened and what he saw. And he realizes, no, this kid, he could afford the very cheap porno magazine. And went on to some fucking metaphor for loneliness and stuff. And I'm just like, why? Like, what? That has nothing to do with the story. And I'm just thinking, what would you do if you went to Barnes & Noble or something? Or say, like, with the Callahan's at Pittsburgh, real nice bookstore. And you walked in there, and you know how they had the basement?
Yeah.
And then, like, in the back of the basement, you saw some dude looking really intently at, like, a fucking magazine or something. You're like, what's that guy looking at? No, I want to kind of look at it, because he's looking at it, so he's looking hard. And then you see his hand in his fucking pocket just...
I would like to think that I would have the wherewithal that once I saw him staring at something so seriously, I think I'd just be like, I don't want to know.
I don't even...
I don't even want to go over there. I just want to buy my books and go home.
Around here, it could definitely be like, oh, I know where this is going.
Yeah.
But here's a question that arises, among other things that arise. When this young gentleman, as he's reading his magazine or staring at, and he's mechanically and violently attending to himself, when he comes to fruition... What happens to that? He just goes in his pants?
Well, my question is, why is the character, it seems like he's the only one that notices this
in a bustling bookstore.
Yeah.
Nobody else notices the young man is violently thrusting in his pants. I think that would be very obvious. And it's Japan, so maybe because they're more reserved, either people just didn't want to say anything, or people don't tend to look at each other as much, mind their business. Now here, you might actually get somebody like, need help with that? Or you get somebody else that joins in, or, such as yourself. You go and see that guy like, you need some help, buddy? It's very icky. I just thought that was a weird thing to throw in there, and I noticed in Mishima's work, there's always some kind of grossness like that.
Well, especially, too, at that stage of the book. Like, it'd be, maybe, as odd as it is, if you, opened with that, weird thing, you know what I mean? And then you could just go on to the rest of the story almost as, it never happened. But it's, you're going through whatever's happened through the book, through the book so far, and then there's just this one weird thing towards the end.
Well, the book has had a couple weird turns here because the story is mainly about reincarnation and, like I told you before, Buddhism and stuff. And he meets this princess when she's 8 years old or something, and he thinks it's his friend that's reincarnated. That's the main plot of the story. And he goes on, this is years and years later, so she's 15 or something. And now he's lusting after this girl, and he really wants to have sex with her. And he's 57, she's 15. But if she has 3 moles on her side, which is what his friend who died a long time ago had, he won't want to have sex with her anymore because that means it's his friend. So I'm just it's so weird.
You would think that would make him want to have sex with her more, not less.
I don't know. If I thought of my dead friend, I don't think I would be super horny.
Well, I mean, it depends on the friend, right?
It was a dude.
Oh, well.
And, but he was a very pretty dude.
Yeah?
He was a handsome young fella.
Was a dude.
Was a dude. Not a dude now.
No. So.
Now he has ample bosoms. And, speaks bad Japanese, which is a turn on apparently for some people. I don't know. It's a very weird story.
Well, is that kind of their version of our Hickish can't speak proper English? You know what I mean?
No, she's supposed to be from Thailand. So that doesn't have really anything to do with it. I forget the reason why that was a turn on. I don't think that would be a turn on for Japanese people. From what I understand, most Japanese people just get infuriated when you go over there and speak Japanese poorly. No, not if you're stupid American, I guess, but if you're another type of Asian, because they're very racist against other Asians.
Oh,
very weird.
Oh, yeah.
Super weird. Koreans, they hate Koreans. And I'm why? I remember reading about it. There was a reason, I forget. Probably something to do with some horrible war of sorts.
Well, that's depending on which, I can't remember which, if it's Japanese or Chinese or, or something like that, but there was one of them that was, they would wear longer clothes, long sleeve clothes, because they didn't want, they didn't want, get a tan. They didn't want theirs, to get darker, because if it got darker, it would be,
that comes
closer to another one, what I mean?
Well, that comes up a lot in Japanese fiction, is, especially, I'm assuming the northern half of Japan's hotter, I'm guessing, because, or maybe it's just towards the beach, I forget, but there's always a Japanese guy who's really tan, and then they equate that as you're probably a fisherman or a manual laborer or something like that. I think that's why it has that connotation. Chinese people, they do the whitening stuff, I believe. I could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Chinese, and I know South Korea does it. Because they want to westernize themselves. They get the eye surgery and stuff. And
we talked about that before.
Yeah, just weird fucked up shit because they want to kind of western. And then that's more South Korea because they're one of the top plastic surgery nations in the world. But I'm pretty sure China has a thing about getting tan. And then obviously the Philippines, they're darker skinned people. So I think maybe they have something with lighter skinned Asians. I don't know. It's all it's outside of our wheelhouse. I mean, we're just both super honky, so we dream of getting tan in the beautiful rays of the sun. I just get cancer.
Yeah.
Right away. Your mole is now malignant. I'm damn it. Just grew that mole 2 days ago. All right. Well, on that note, Nitro's out. He doesn't like talking about moles either. See ya. Go ahead and open that door so we can hear jackhammering. And we're back! You're listening to the Drunken Pen Writing Podcast. We like to confuse the listeners because half the time I call it the DPW Podcast.
Keep them on their toes.
Keep them on their toes, so if this is the first time listening, you're like, well, what the fuck? Drunken Pen Writing, that's fine, but if your first episode's DPW, you're like, wait a minute, what? Doesn't really matter. Learn to abbreviate, people. I'm your host, Caleb James. With me today, as just decided in my head, Spencer, the Seattle Shitstorm Church. See, I brought it back to the storm.
Yeah,
It was very easy. We don't have much of an episode for you today, so we're just going to do some talking, man. We're going to flap our gums and see what comes out. I am changing things. That it's serious when the finger comes out.
Yep.
Finger point. You folks can't see this because our video is not available.
It's broken.
It's broken. It's been broken for quite some time. First up, there's going to be some changes to the site. Doing a little upgrading. I was playing with this over the weekend.
More nudes?
Yes, lots more nudes, but that goes into the next category. Premium content. Yeah. We were talking about throwing the anthology stories on the website because, they're kind of Halloween related. And then after the month of October, I think I was talking to Ash about it. I don't remember if I talked to you.
You brought it up to me in a text message, but we haven't had really a chance to talk about it.
I kind of briefly mentioned it to him too, but my plan is, if I can work it, because we have been getting a lot of submissions, but post our stories in the month of October, and then after October, because they're all longer stories, make them premium content. That way, now what I was hoping was just you could pay like $1, or even they had an option of pay whatever you want to read the story. I'm like, okay, that'd be cool because then we're still making something off it that can go towards the site. Well, here's the issue. With the premium content, it has to be all on one page, and our stories are long, so they're multiple pages.
No.
It wouldn't work with the multiple page story because I tried to do my Asher Kang story. I tried to fuck with it just to, try it out. I talked to the tech people and they said you just have to put the premium content block on every single page. That way, no matter what page they go to, they can't read it unless they're, they pay or subscribe. But I'm thinking, well, if I wanted to do the one-time pay $1, that's going to suck because every page you'd have to pay $1? Nobody's going to do that. So I might have to go to a subscription thing. But going to the website itself, I was thinking, because this isn't going to be something we're doing for every story.
No.
This would be our longer works, and either after a certain period of time of them being free, or just, depending on what it is, like if it's the stories for our anthology, because we can't just give something away that we're going to be, actually putting on a book or something, but we do want people to at least read them. I was thinking, change the menus. So what do you think about this? The premium content stuff will be, instead of just like short stories fiction, top shelf. Kind of go with our bar theme, our drunken pen writing theme, so it'd be top shelf.
Or like Black Label. I mean, DC has a thing called Black Label, but something like that.
And then for the everything that's just free and you can read whenever, be on the house. And then I still have to come up with some other stuff like for the podcast or stuff. And then maybe for like the donations page, like, the tab, pay your tab, just some random things like that, just kind of.
Or just like the tip jar.
Yeah, there we go, tip jar. I like that. I'm going to write that down. The tip jar. Tip.
Just a tip. So
I think that would be a good way to just kind of maybe get some funds for the website, because they always fucking raise the prices and stuff, because it's like 120 something bucks now.
Seems like something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like 90 when we started this. Not that there's like a huge amount between us, but it'd be better if we could.
Oh, you see, when you add the website,
and then the podcast is another
podcast, and then we keep on talking about wanting to get better equipment and. Even just trying to do the anthology, that's take some extra cash to get that rolling too.
Yeah, and for the time being, I still want to just stay non-profit because all that stuff it would go to just the website and like you said, equipment and stuff. That wouldn't go to just our pockets.
No.
But if that ever changes, obviously I will let everyone know that we're not profit anymore. We're for profit, and because I would have to do tax stuff. And I don't fucking know how to do that yet, so that's another animal. But I did sign up for all the, we can take money through subscriptions and stuff now. I just gotta set, whatever pages up. So I'll piss with that more this weekend. And then, like I said, I'll post our stories and see how that works and see what kind of views we get. And now this will be more on you. This is your decision, Spencer.
Oh, God.
This could just kill our whole site and just cut out our views drastically. But there's a certain article.
Oh, okay.
That gets hundreds of views a day. Every day.
Yeah.
What if that became a premium content article? And you had to pay $1 to read that shitty article.
I mean, if the views stayed, I'd be very happy with that. I mean,
we just suddenly made thousands of dollars a day on that shit-ass article.
I mean, the worst-case scenario, we could do it for like a week.
You just see what happens.
Yeah, just see what happens.
Well, as soon as another like DC or Marvel movie comes out too, that'd be awesome.
Well, I mean, they just announced all that stuff, so
people are gonna be looking into Black Adam and stuff, you know, and then just look up strongest heroes and villains, and I think I should do that this weekend. Like you said, just a week.
Yeah, just to see.
Just try it out.
It could be one of like the first things that go on the premium channel. Would be a good tester.
People would be so mad. Like, they're already super mad when they read the article and disagree with it. Imagine if they had to pay to disagree with it. But I kind of feel like they deserve it.
Yeah. Maybe they would actually read the thing.
Yeah, maybe they would actually read it because they paid for it.
Instead of just skipping and looking at the list, the name of the characters.
And I think it hopefully is controversial enough that if I do, like, 7 down... Like, after 7 or 6, that's when the premium, you know, because it's set up like, I'm sure you've gone to those articles where you read, like, half of it, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, to finish reading.
Yeah.
Usually those make you mad.
Yeah.
But if it's something that you actually really want to read, like, if it's a one-time payment.
Yeah.
See, now that article's single page, so we could do the one-time payment. I wouldn't have to do subscription. And obviously, if you're subscribed, you just log on and you can read it anyway. I think that would be fun. I like that idea. And, I mean, worst comes to worst, that week nobody fucking reads that article, and oh well.
It's still, and not saying it in a douchey way, but it's still like the most viewed thing that ever did on the website, so.
And the podcast is probably always going to be free. I don't even maybe do a Patreon. I figured the premium content would be, because that would make people more invested, obviously, not just financially, but if you're paying for something, generally you're going to check it out more often. If you have a subscription.
That or I've been seeing like a lot of people like, you know, for like podcasts, like they do like, like a Patreon, and like they will have like episodes, and like the Patreon people get to hear those episodes first, and then like a couple weeks or whatever, they eventually go back onto like the normal feed where everybody who just listens for free. But it's like for those people, not only do they get the free episode each week or whatever it is, but they also get this other stuff first. Yeah, you know, because they, you know, if they're really into it, they get it first, and then everybody else can get it later.
And we could always do like, you know, Patreon only episodes. Which really wouldn't be hard. What the fuck else we gotta talk about? Talk about anything on those episodes. Nasty.
Or are those the episodes where we actually have to, like, maybe bring a
game?
Yeah, because people are paying for it.
I don't know. We'll figure that out later. Cross that bridge when we get to it. Also, I was thinking for the subscription thing, like, price-wise, what if we do, like, start off very small. So it could either be $2 a month, or $12 a year. I'll see if I can set it up so you can have both options when you have to sign up. Because some people are like, oh, $2 a month, and then if they just forget that they're signed up, you know, we bank $24 off them or whatever. That'd be cool. Or we could just get, you know, they pay $1 a month, which would be $12 for the year. So either way, it's, you know, win-win for, and that's pretty fucking cheap. Come on, people. It's not even a cup of coffee. For such great content and story ideas. Of course, then we'd have really at this, what I was talking about off air, we'd have to step up our game, and our writing output, we'll have to put a lot more stuff up, because I feel very bad if people are paying for shit and we're not, you know, having more output. Also, I'd feel real bad if we wrote stuff that people paid for and they just fucking hate it because it's awful. Yeah. So we would have to step that up too.
Yeah, because it'd be one thing, you know, I don't expect, like, you know, if we have fans, if we're at that point yet, for them to enjoy everything that we put out, but I at least want it to be the quality there. Like, like you know, they might have something to say about the story, but they can't say anything about, like, the quality of the writing. Yeah. You know, they might have a problem with...
Yeah, I don't mind if people hate the story. Yeah. That's your right to hate the story. But I don't want you to hate I don't want you to be like, oh, he fucking... million spelling errors, can't write for shit. Like, you don't want that.
Yeah.
Also, I'm planning on making an announcement about these changes because I don't want to alienate all our subscribers now.
Yeah.
Because we have a good bit on there. I forget what the number is, but we have, I'm not sure. Like, they actually read, like, every time we post goes to their email and stuff, but probably near 1,000, I think. Somewhere.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's just the WordPress people that are subscribed and get our emails, and people are signed up for the email, the newsletter that I never send out anymore. Which I'll start doing that again, too.
That's the best kind of newsletter.
You know what? I used to put them out once a week, and I would get some engagement. I know any time that I get newsletters, like when I sign up for one or something or on accident, I never fucking read them, and I don't fucking unsubscribe either. Like, because you have to click an extra button.
But there for the longest time, I would read, like, Derek Manning's newsletter.
And he puts a lot of work into his newsletter.
And now it's just, it's to a late skim because, like, even anything, like, because I follow him on everything else, so, like, I will see, like, you know what I mean? Like, if he has an announcement, I'll see it. Like,
yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. If you're already following him, you're not, I mean, maybe you'll get some backdoor stuff. Hold on, Minnie sent me something. What the fuck is this? The nudes? Nudes. Trump presidency. I don't want to read it.
Not now.
No, I'm already angry enough with that. Switching topics slightly over to... Sorry, I forgot to turn that off. Oh, man, I never hit record. Just kidding. Switching topics slightly. We're talking about writing output. As you see, the room is now clear.
I was gonna say, it looks a little bit more put together
I
than
finished
last time.
clearing out the random garbage.
The
right
cages
before
in here?
Yeah, right before you came over, but it's clear now. We ordered a fucking couch for upstairs. It's been a month. It's supposed to come sometime. When that comes, I'll take that couch from up there now, put it down here. The only thing after that is, entertainment stand, baller stuff over there, but that's not really conductive for what I'm talking about.
Disco balls.
We got to start doing the disco balls, and I was actually thinking about getting a projector here on that wall.
Yeah.
Instead of the fucking TV, and just, like, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be.
Get a couple nice-ass chairs over there. I'd dig it. But
No.
that's not what I'm talking about. Writing related.
Yes.
We need to actually get on hey, sponsor, Thursday, podcast. Friday, you want to come over and do a writing session. And, like, just fucking serious writing session. Yeah. Turn off our phones. Just fucking, whether you go sit here, you sit over at the desk, whatever it is.
That's fine. Down here, I'd hardly get any service on my phone anyways.
No, you're not connected to the Wi-Fi.
Like, when we go upstairs, it's fine. I think it's just being down here.
Well, that's good.
Whenever you send me a link for the topics, that always takes like an extra like a minute to load up. But
we definitely need to do that, and I think if we, as we talked before, make it more like a job.
Yeah.
Like if we know, like, hey, Tuesdays is writing day, Fridays is writing day, even Saturday, whatever it is. I mean, obviously your schedule changes, but
no, mine's been pretty steady recently.
Well, that's good. But well, after COVID,
you never know. But yeah,
you never know a dickhead thing they'll pull on you.
Yeah.
But just saying, even if it did, we'll switch it around or something. We could just, like we did before, we used to have like weekly meetings and stuff when we're putting together things. Just have it set up where we're like, hey, this day, this day, this day. And then if it's like a job, you're not going to be like, you know what, I don't feel like doing it today. You're just going to do it.
Yeah.
Because that's how I am with work. Like, I just go fucking do it. I mean, if you want to call off, you better have a good-ass reason. I can't come over to write today, Caleb. Why? Shit. Are you masturbating? No. Are you in a bookstore right now looking at a magazine? Of course not. Of course not. Then you just hear an Asian guy in the background. Oh, disgusting. So that'll be coming up in the few weeks here.
Do you remember that whenever we first started, before like the website even went up, and then the podcast and everything?
We were very productive.
Well, and just the story ideas.
We're good.
The story idea, because like that's the battle. Is what am I going to write?
Well, we had weekly brainstorming sessions, and also because of that, when the following week came, you had to have some stuff done, because what are you going to talk about? Well, we came up with those ideas last week, but I didn't do anything with them.
Yeah.
Well, then you're going to feel like shit. And then it just fizzled out because of work, holidays, and
we evolved into what it is now, too.
But I think we need to go back to the grassroots movement we started all those years ago. And, shit, it's always changing. It's like 1904, right?
Yeah.
When we started,
that's what it feels like.
We had that fucking phonograph, or what was the things you go boop, 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 boop? Telegraph.
Yeah,
telegrapth.
Yeah, one of those, something like that.
Strippergram.
Yes, strippergram.
That's a different thing. So I think that'll be our next move within next week, the week after. I mean, I would prefer to have some furniture because it's just more conducive to...
It would make it a little bit easier to write.
So we don't have to sit at the fucking table. I mean, again, if you said the desk, but if you're like me, especially if I'm, like, I do write where I am now, but I write way better when I'm just, like, chilling in a nice chair somewhere. So when I get some nice chairs, that'll also help.
And like, that's the thing, too, because, like, at my place, I don't, like, it's either, like, I'm either just, like, sitting on my couch, like, with my legs out, like on the side or whatever, like, you know, like, I don't really have, like, a spot or, like, a designated area to, like, that's good for just, like, writing either.
And see, also, it gets hot over here because of these fucking lights. Yeah. And that's why I was telling you, like, again, I think it was off air, I got the fucking star thing, people don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'll post a video or something on the Instagram. So, like, that keeps it a little cooler because these fluorescent lights are hot. I can feel the heat from here.
I can imagine, yes.
And they're right over my head. But I just, like, this chair gets a little uncomfortable. And...
Well, it's also, it's a leather or pleather.
Yeah.
So, especially if you're getting hot, you're going to get sticky to it.
And it's kind of cramped over here. It's just, I don't know. And I don't want to sit on that side because you sit over there. It's icky.
Yes, it's very icky over here.
The desk is in the corner. I don't want to go all the way over to the desk.
Well, that would maybe actually be kind of good at it, like, just because you're just nose in the corner.
Well, I figure that could be your writing area, and you can wheel the good chair over there. But that'll be the next step. And then, too, once, you know, get the bar set up and stuff, it'll actually be more of a relaxed atmosphere as well. So they'll be like, hey, Caleb, man, have a little whiskey. And
play some, like, jazz in the background.
Until Nitro comes flying down and fucking frog splashes through the table. But I like the idea of that, having the actual writer's room now. We'll have to come up with a name. It can't just be because this is the DPW studio, but that rest of that's not.
Would it just be the lounge?
That would be the lounge.
Yeah, you know, like the DPW.
The writer's lounge.
Yeah,
it could be the writer's lounge. That's fine.
Yeah.
Then what's the bathroom called?
The lavatory?
The lavatory. Well, I guess you can't. I was going to say laboratory, like Dexter's Lab. But if you're doing any kind of laborious stuff in there, that'd be a little weird. I mean, there will be some chemical spills in there, but that's a different nature. Yeah, the lavatory, that sounds gross to me. Sounds worse. The DPW pooper. I'll have to get a fancy sign on there. Yeah, I'll put Joe Rogan on there. Oh, he's still over there. He fucking keep...
yeah. I looked at Walmart. They didn't have any frame sizes, so I just had to go to like Michael's or something to get a cheap one there.
Why is it always so difficult? You had a bunch of H.P. Lovecraft paintings I found too, so...
Oh, yeah?
I got off of somebody. So I'll have to put those up too, but we'll decorate. Sorry if anybody thinks that's excessively boring, but we get excited about the dumb things in life. What else do we need down here, Spencer? I should put a picture up now that's clean on the Instagram.
Yeah. Picture like a little video, like a, you know, little...
Maybe I'll do that tonight.
Quick tour through the, you know...
We'll do that. We'll do that after the podcast. And if it comes out terrible, nobody will see it. Unless you sign up for our Patreon.
Yeah.
Or our OnlyFans, where you can make millions of dollars a day if you're certain scantily clad ladies. I saw that Bella Thorne lady made $2 million in 2 days.
What? I didn't hear about that.
You know what she was doing? Drinking wine. And she had one video. And by the way, she posts like almost naked pictures on Instagram all the time. If you Google her, she has naked pictures all over the place. She has like fucking Pornhub videos or something. I don't know. I don't know if she actually does porn or just... She was involved with it somehow. Anyway, she had a video of her hand over her boobs. So you couldn't see anything. And she was like shaking. And that was it. And that got her $1 million. What fucking loser's paying for that? Why are you paying for that, Spencer? Anyway, so what's your plan? What else would you like to see down here? Because as well as the writer's lounge, if it's going to be a lounge, you need to do some lounging. Because you don't always just write. Sometimes you need to just relax.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it is at your house, but I remember at my old house, or even if I'm just like upstairs or something, there's like just having slight distractions here, there, here, there. Like, you don't realize, but it kind of does wear on you.
A little bit,
and your mind doesn't really get to create ideas. Like, I have a problem lately with coming up with like creative flowing ideas because I'm always in weird environments that are not conducive for that. But if you're down here and you kind of could actually relax for real, I think that would help a lot.
Yeah. You get it walled off, you know.
Mm-hmm. Get some cornhole.
Oh.
I don't like cornhole.
No, I was never a fan.
I don't like beer pong. I don't like any of that shit.
maybe like another like a bookshelf and more books, because you need more books, to.
Well, I got a bookshelf in the garage, and it's like the size of that little one over there. I got to clean it up. It's kind of gross.
Yeah.
I was thinking about building like a cool. I think I told you like a tree bookshelf, like that's like shaped like a tree.
Yeah.
For my comics.
Yeah.
Or like my trades rather. But yeah, another bookshelf because I like being surrounded by books, which makes me think like how are there so many people that just don't give a shit about books? Let's talk about it. What the fuck is happening? And you're like, because I've called people out on the Facebook before, just not anybody specific. Just like, I don't understand how people just don't read. And then I get a bunch of people, I don't read. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get it. Like, I feel like you don't read anything? Articles? Nothing? Essays?
Do you think it's just one of those things that gets, because, like, since, like, TV is such a big thing now, that you can watch something halfway zoned out and still get it.
Yeah, but see, here's my issue. And I've actually brought this up on Twitter, and a lot of people agree, but anytime you've mentioned this, it could be to a bunch of fucking inbred hillbillies. When you mention this specific event that almost all of us, at least in this country, have had, which is weird, that's a unifying event, but it's a very good thing, people get excited, and they talk about it. When we used to have in school the scholastic book fairs, everyone would get books, and they didn't just get random toys and shit. No, they would get books, and they would check them out. And back then, it seemed like everybody was reading. And I remember, like, the kids who say they don't, like, as adults, they don't read or anything. I was in school with them, and they were reading. What happened, man? How did that love of reading and just, finding interesting, cool books get, like, when did that just split off to, fuck those things?
Well, also, I mean, I think another end to that is, like, I know they still have it, but what degree at schools now? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because as we got older, it's not like we had you
don't have a high school book fair.
Yeah, which I don't know why not.
Should.
Yeah, why not?
It should be more, and have cooler, like, more mature books.
Yeah.
Because I remember, like, when we were in school, Harry Potter came out, so that was a big deal, and people got, like, they actually lined up at bookstores to get that. And that's the last time I remember that happening. Twilight, maybe, but I don't think it was to that degree. It's a damn shame. I know we talked about this many times, but I just don't understand how people just can't find enjoyment in reading. I always think it's just they never found, like, I think it's one, school kind of kills it for you at a young age.
Yeah.
And two, people just, like, you found comics.
Yeah.
So that got you. I found, like, old horror stories and stuff when I was a kid, so that kind of sucked me in. But I feel like a lot of people, they just never find what they would enjoy. Like TV shows. You wouldn't watch TV if you just, like, were suddenly 20 years old, like from a kid to 20, never watching TV. Then all of a sudden, TV's on, and you just start flipping through.
And you saw Friends, and you're like, what's this about?
Yeah, like you just saw some random episode of some random show. That's not how you get into it. Well, that's the same with books. You can't just get into a random genre and a random book and a random author. You need more specifics.
And I think at some point in time, there was a shift to where, like, if you were just sitting out somewhere reading, and, like, the bully walked by, and you'd be like, even if you wasn't a nerd or, the quote-unquote nerd or whatever, if you just some, random person, it was like, you were a loser or weird for reading something.
Yeah, at some point you were a dork. I feel like that came about in the 80s, probably. Seemed like everybody was a dickhead in the 80s because they were all coked up, even the kids. Also, I think another thing that really killed the love of reading in, the majority of people, because, up till, I would say, at least the 60s, most people read. They read more than they watched TV. But I think
there wasn't nothing else.
Exactly, but I think what really killed it was obviously because, like, you had cables, and then movies came out, more and more movies every year, then eventually we got the internet. Yeah. So that's a lot of distraction, but the main thing, fucking social media. Yeah. I think that, social media and cell phones, those two things combined, too, they just fucking combined into a big distraction block. And once that happened, I think that, like, was the nail in the coffin of books.
And I think for a certain selected people, I think it is, just like adulthood, Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have...
Having kids.
Yeah, and just work and stuff. It's not that they don't want to read. It's just, like, they don't even have, like, the time or the energy to read.
Well, I was telling you, my recent struggles with just finishing the book I'm on because of moving, work, and just being tired, and then trying to write and just do other things. If I threw kids on top of that, when are you going to read, honestly?
Right,
like,
yeah.
Especially if you had, like, say, twins or just two little kids, like 1 5, 1 2. Like, that, you'd be done. It would be really hard because it would be like, oh, that's my me time, and you'd read for, 10 minutes? Like, it would be hard to accomplish a lot.
Or you'd probably fall asleep.
Yeah. Yeah, because even then, you're probably not watching TV a lot or anything, and if you are, it's because that could be, like, mindless background noise, like, you don't have to really focus. Yeah. But a book, you can read the same page over and over and over and not even remember what you read if you're distracted, tired, etc. But it is a damn shame, but adulthood is very difficult, and it seems to have gotten a lot worse. I feel like adulthood up to World War II was just fucking awful, and you died young, and it was horrible. And then after World War II, we hit a sweet spot where adulthood was just awesome until about 1994. And then after 1994, I don't know, OJ killed his wife, and everybody got mad, and then everything stayed mad. But after 2001 is when it really shit the bed. Like, that's when things got real awful. I don't like it. But then again, apparently Japan sucked ass in the 90s. Just to bring it back to what we were talking about originally.
Oh, really?
Japan. Yeah, because they had a big economic bubble burst, apparently. I read some fiction about it. I don't know. Those people are very resilient. They either just kill themselves or they just work really hard. It's like no middle ground. It's very strange. And usually when the killing themselves is because they work so hard and then they fail.
Which one, was, not, walled off, but, very... Was it China or Japan, for the longest time, didn't,
Japan was... They wouldn't let anybody in the country until... I think some random Dutch people started trading with them. That was the 1800s, maybe. Which is
not that long ago.
I don't know when the Edo period ended, but when the Meiji period, which was, I think, the early 1900s started, and actually it might have been a little before that, Americans just kind of forced their way in.
Yeah,
They're just like, hey, you're going to trade with us, buddy, and you're going to like it. And they're like, well, we don't want to, fucker. And they're like, well, you're going to do it. And they're like, okay. But yeah, before that, for thousands and thousands of years, that's why Japan culture is so strange, to people that weren't from that area, because it's completely different from any other culture because it never intermingled with anybody else.
And now it's this weird, I don't have to do a whole bunch of, but just from what I've seen, it's now it's a weird merger of that old stuff and modern things.
Yeah, their society is always rapidly changing because it's kind of not just modernizing but westernizing. And actually, that's the theme of most Yukio Mishima's books. Because he was very right-wing for whatever that meant in Japan back then. Yeah. It's not the same as it is here. He was all about, the emperor and stuff Japan being a strong nation. But all his books, the main theme is, about westernization and what that means for the country and things like that.
So it's been kind of just it almost been kind of be here with certain neighborhoods getting gentrified and stuff like that, and just Shameless, when they were doing that on Shameless, and you get to see what those people living in those neighborhoods living through that.
Yeah, how they feel, and essentially getting pushed out. That's what westernization in Japan was kind of like, because they started wearing, instead of kimonos and stuff, they started wearing Western clothes, like pants and suits and shit, and their houses reflected. Hats. Yeah, and their main thing, it was European Western, so they got a lot of French influence, because they had a war with Russia, the Russo-Japanese War, so there was a big intermingling there with their literature, which was very interesting. A lot of Japanese literature reflects Russian literature, so it's kind of, I think, why I'm drawn to it. But they just had a really weird situation, especially after World War II, because then that completely cut off we're Japan, we're a strong nation, we're going to take over everything and be independent. And then after that, I was like, well, I guess we just kind of, join America and be a peaceful nation. And they changed the way they do things.
Make cars.
Yeah, man. They make some good cars.
They do make some good cars.
Toyotas are very sturdy now. Expensive, though. I can't afford them. A lot of countries make shit cars. America. America used to make good cars, but they don't make good cars anymore. I blame Trump. because in 1943 he passed the the shitty car bill. No, it's not Trump's fault. A lot of things are his fault, but not the terribleness of automation. But people like him. Crude businessmen who just care about the dollar. That's what ruined this country. Also what made this country. So that's a weird one, too.
Yeah.
Because people like to shit on capitalism, but we also are way we are because of capitalism. So it's like a double-edged sword. You wouldn't have America without capitalism, but also it would, it wouldn't be so shitty either. Probably. Or it would be super shitty. I don't fucking know. I'm not getting into a political debate with you, Spencer. I know how much you like to get into those on here. Mm-hmm. Always have to shut you down before it starts. By the way, folks, he'll go on these 2-hour diatribes about politics, and I just edit it all out every time. Or I just hit mute so you never hear it. He goes in depth, too.
You go take a shit, get something to eat.
Marcus Wilson in 1873 in the U.S. Congress passed the bill. And like, Spencer, I don't know what you're talking about, man. And then you start going all goodwill.
Neither do I.
You go all goodwill hunting on me.
I just, it's like a long version of Will Ferrell from Old School. Whenever he somehow
just goes into
yeah.
He's like, I blacked out. What happened? He just goes on to that crazy answer. Man, we already got 42 minutes in. We go long when we talk about nonsense.
I mean, we were talking about how we need to step up our progress.
Yeah.
We were talking about a little bit before off-air. I didn't know if you want to continue that off-air, if you wanted to bring up any, like, the little bit you have been able to work on.
Current writing. I'm still working on the same 2 fucking stories I was a month ago when you asked me this question. And the progress has been maybe a page. I told you I did some writing the other night. And it was decent. That was the first time I actually wrote something in weeks. Like something, significant.
Did it feel like passing a huge shit?
Yes, but then, just like passing that huge shit, it was kind of sore. Then the next day, I wanted to write again, but I'm like, I gotta take it easy.
I don't want to push it. It might hurt.
I don't want to pop out something. But, yeah, so yesterday I came down and I told you off air, I tried to write, got all set up, opened my laptop to the document, was all prepared, very excited to start working and possibly finish this one horror story. And then I watched deadlift videos for an hour, so I did nothing. I accomplished 0.
Why was it deadlifting? What made you bring up...
Here's the real kicker, Spencer, because Thursday is my deadlift day.
Oh, yeah?
So today, I was going to the gym, so sometimes, the day before, I'm like, I'm awesome. You can get a little motivated, and maybe, catch some tips. You never know. You get some tips or different techniques. So I was like, all right, and I watched all those. Yeah.
Some grips.
I forget what initially started it. It was like a new deadlift video of somebody I like came out. I was like, oh, he had a PR, and I'm going to watch that. And then, you know what the real kicker is? Couldn't find a place to fucking park today, so I couldn't go to the gym.
Oh.
So I didn't even get to go fucking deadlift. So all that work for nothing. I was very mad. I'm still very mad.
Because that makes totally sense, because I remember the last convention we went to where you went into a 45-minute wormhole of shot putting videos.
Yeah, I go into these weird things. And I've been getting into irregular object lifts lately, too. Like, I just pick up boulders I find, or a log. Just weird, because I've been watching weird strongman videos, so I'm all over the place. There's no need for it. I'm not going to be a strongman anytime soon. I don't need to do any of that.
You're going to pull something.
I hope. Maybe whatever I do injure, I'm going to say I did it at work.
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah.
No matter what happens, if I break my leg, I'm limping into work, duct taping it so tightly that I can pretend I'm walking, and then immediately go into my work truck and fall and say I broke my leg into a million pieces. That's just what's going to happen. Like, I get shot by a fucking crazy person, and I'm going to fucking stick some gauze in there and go to work the next day, and then I'm going to fucking, smack a hammer off of fucking one of the doors or something. I'm like, oh my god, somebody shot me!
Drive by!
Where did it come from? Must have came out of the sky. Oh, I'm bleeding. I gotta go to the hospital. And were they gonna not believe me? Just do it out of camera sight, that's all. What about you, Spencer? You want to talk about your writing real quick?
I've been able to get a little bit more done on the story. I can't remember, how much compared to, last week, but, overall, I'm on, the 2,500 mark, right around there, about, on my 5th, 6th page, so...
That's pretty good.
And I'm, about, I'm getting close to ending the second chapter of the first draft. So
This is when you wanted to make like a novella.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got roughly 18,000 words to go minimum.
Yeah, and like I said, it's first draft because like we've talked about this before. Especially, I think if I want to still like try to venture into like the longer fiction, I think I just have to realize like my first drafts are gonna be very like bare,
short,
and minimum. Like you know what I mean, and then. Just whenever I go through, I just have to, build things up or,
do the actual writing after the first draft's done.
Or if I can ever, like maybe whenever we get this set up down here and I can actually get more into like a writing mood.
Yeah.
Cause like the past week or so, like I've been able to put by like a couple hours, give or take, not maybe all together at once, but like, pieces here and there. It's just getting a good amount of words down in that time has been my issue.
I feel like one of my problems is that I'm kind of relegating myself to a specific time. Like, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to go home, clean up, and then I'm going to go and write for like 4 hours. And then what I end up doing is fucking off or cooking dinner or just whatever shit I got to do. And I just procrastinate, and then like 9, 10 o'clock comes, and then I have maybe an hour to write. Yeah. And what I need to do is, like you said, have a specific time. And also, I feel like I have been, like, even when I got, like, the other night, some words down, it wasn't what my output used to be. I need to step it up to 1,000 to 2,000 words an hour.
Yeah.
Not
that would be nice.
250 words in 20 minutes, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
That's another problem. I get, even when I do get in, write every day, I'll do it like 20 minutes at a time and maybe get 400 or 500 words at most. Don't even know if they're good. And then I just kind of, I never let myself get in the zone. And then I just kind of fucking, all right, I'm done. A lot of that might come to just losing passion for the story, but I need to actually complete the story. If I don't, I'm going to keep doing that with my projects where I get excited, get 3/4 of a story done and then just kind of peter out and never finish it.
I do like we were talking about like getting an actual like block down, but I do also find like that, like especially like if I have a day off and I have like 30 minutes in between doing something, and even if it's just like 100 words or so, but you figure if I do that and then like, a couple hours and I have another half an hour where I can do like another couple, you know what I mean?
Sometimes those sporadic writing periods are my most productive ones, where I'll be like, hey, I'm just kind of in the mood, or I have an idea, and I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to forget that, I'll hurry up and write it down. I'm like, oh, you know what, this would be a good sentence, and I'm like, oh, you know what, actually, I can just fill out this paragraph, and then I'll find myself writing for 2 hours or something. Or, fucking, what it really irritates me is if I'm at work and I do that, and I'm like, I gotta get back to work. And that's what kills me, because my most energetic time is when I'm working. When I get home, I'm always fucking exhausted. Then the weekends I'm recovering, so I need to work on that too. But I think the having the writing zone would be good, though. Obviously, we would write in our free time as well. Yeah. But just say, you're over here too, you could be like, hey, Caleb, can you read this? And then that way you stay on the right track too, because if I could be like, Spencer, that's kind of dog shit, man. I don't think you want to pursue that, because then you might go on a whole chapter, and then when you're done, you're like, fuck, that didn't even work.
What was the point?
I went off on a fucking wrong... Just speaking of, like, how many scenes do you know? Do you know how many scenes your story has so far? You're only, 2 chapters in?
Yeah. Like I said, I have close to roughly, 10 chapters, loosely, couple sentence...
Outline,
outlined on what I want to do. But I find, because it's gonna be, scenes are gonna be difficult because, it's almost gonna be almost kind of like a Lord of the Rings where, they, when they wake up in this world place, they make it to this other place, they can leave. So, I guess I don't know if it's necessarily going to be scenes, but more, I guess, moments. You know what I mean? Or, I don't know. But like I said, I kind of got it, I got it kind of roughed out on, I want this to happen in this chapter, break. And then this thing to happen in this chapter, break, to...
Well, see, that's how my current story is going. Again, it's a short story, but the way it's set up, it technically could just be one long moment. Like, it's not, I mean, like how our flash fictions are just kind of a moment.
Yeah.
You can't, or, a single scene. Technically, it would be like almost a single scene the way it's written. But I'm trying to figure out how to, like, because in my work, I find I finish it too when I have specific scenes in mind.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, this is scene 1, and then this is scene 2, and then, that's what'll lead to scene 3, and then I find that it flows better. When I write stories that don't have scenes, like, per se, I find it's really hard for me to either finish or just get the flow right. Or even the pacing, too, could be kind of off because, like, it's hard to get a good pacing when you don't have an end sight for that scene because it's not going to end. It's just going to be until the story ends.
Yeah. And I was going to say, one thing that I have been liking with being able to get a little bit more work done on this story is I think, even though that I haven't had the amount down on the page that I want, but within writing that and thinking, I'm pretty sure I know what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just going and getting the time and putting it down there.
Yeah.
I won't explain it on air. I'll tell you about it once we get off. So, no spoilers. But I think I kind of, I think I kind of cracked it, and especially like the place where they're at, like, you know what I mean? Because I was very kind of abstract when I was originally coming up with it, but I think I came up with a solution for that.
That's another issue I've been having, is I keep coming up with what I think are cool ideas, and they are kind of abstract at times, and since I don't really outline generally, especially short stories, I just kind of follow the train of thought, and then how I think the story should go, and then like the current one I'm writing, it's such a weird story that I just get lost.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I don't know where this is. We talked about this probably a couple weeks ago. I have no idea where the story's going to go. Even now, I still don't know where the story's going to go because I don't have a set end. I don't have an end of a scene. I don't have an end of even the story.
Yeah.
I don't even have the bare bones outline of it because I only planned out like half of it and then what I kind of wanted to happen, and then I was like, okay, and then here's where some really cool shit will happen, and then I left it at that, and I just did the fucking George R. Martin.
Yeah.
Some cool shit's gonna happen. The dragons are gonna come. Trust me, they're gonna come, and they aren't coming. Where are the dragons? I don't know.
And I think, I know we said it a couple of times, but if we, get this area, because even if not like the whole, he's saying if reading what we had, was working on, but even just Caleb, I get this idea because I think, because we've been talking about too for a while of trying to co-write something, because I think the way each of us does our own writing, I think would do a good work together.
Yeah.
Well, because like I said, you're very good at describing things in a very good detail. Not I don't want to say long-winded, but are able to
flesh it out.
Where, and then I think I'm good at having these very good strong plot beats, this thing's gonna happen that's gonna affect, then makes this happen, and this character is design, or you know what I mean, that kind of stuff.
Well, you have more of the comic book mind, which is usually story first.
Yeah,
and not just story first, but I feel like you probably see your stories more of in a visual way than I. Again, that might come just from me, because before this you were just drawing comic stuff. But you probably kind of see the scenes out more. Versus me, who I think of them in words and how you would describe it. And then also, the way you go about your stories, you're kind of thinking, the big plot points in the bigger picture. Yeah. Whereas I feel like I'm kind of always just in the scene. Yeah. So I'm more focused on the small, minute things. What's the theme? What's the morals? And I'm just what's this going to mean to the character down the road where you're well, he's going to get stabbed in the neck. Yeah. That's the important part. And I'm thinking, but what is that going to mean for his family when he gets stabbed in the neck is in the I think
they're going to be pissed. That's what that's going to mean.
We just have two different ways of coming, but I think that would actually be really good for, we combine that and do a co-written story, which again, if we get our writing pattern down, really start knocking out work. Like, hopefully some short stories and stuff every week, which for a while I actually was doing that just on my own, just knocking out short story and flash fictions. But we could start working on things where we could knock out the short stories while we're working on bigger works.
Yeah.
So you'd be like, hey man, I'm going to take a break from that story. I'm going to go write a short story if you want to keep working on the big story. Like, we could do things like that. That'd be kind of cool.
And, just like, because like, I mean, we've seen like, like some of the Dead Robot guys and just other people at different shows that are like, oh, I put out like 5 or 6 books a year. Like, now granted, I don't want to do that because I feel like the quality will like,
I've had talks with a couple authors who do that, and they generally don't edit, or they rely on their beta readers to catch most things. If you have the money, which I'm sure the Dead Robot guys do, because they're tech guys. Because Terry worked at fucking NASA.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you could just pay for an editor, which would obviously be helpful. If, I feel like if we put out an actual book, we'd still probably pay for an editor. It's going to be expensive, but we'll pool our money. But if you could do that, but think $5 books a year. If you paid for an editor for each book, and you're looking at an actual extensive edit, even if it's a buddy or somebody who you have a close relationship will give you a discount. Even say they did it for the bare minimum of like $1,000.
That's still $5,000.
Yeah, just on your books, and you better be selling the fuck out of those. And even if you do, are you gonna recoup that $5,000? Unless you're popular, that's gonna be hard.
It's like the goal would be able to just make enough money to break even, or to give you the money to get the next book, edited.
Yeah, that'd be
which is a hell of a way to live.
I don't know if I want to do that,
especially at least at our skill set now.
Yeah,
like Stephen King can come out with like 5 books a year. And I would be like, most of them are probably pretty good, or like he's probably just have them written and just decided to, put them out.
Also, he could literally shit those out, and his editor will cobble together the mess and polish the turd up into something better. We don't have that luxury. We have to have the polished turd ahead of time, and then have that polished more by an editor on top of it.
Basically, like, if you think about it, it's so weird and fucked up with, like, a thing with an editor. It's like, you kind of want to have it so good.
They don't need to edit.
Yeah, and then it's like, then why'd I fucking give it to you? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
why'd I pay you?
It's almost like I'd rather, like, just half-ass write it, then give it to them, and so at least you're getting your money's worth out of them going over it, like,
Well, Nitro's here. And I'm out of beer, so I guess that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Probably should end it. It's a fucking hour long. If you folks want to check out us, our Halloween period, all that stuff, and just keep up to date on what's going on, go on to drunkenpenwriting.com. Follow us on Twitter at drunkenpenwriting, Instagram and Facebook, Drunken Pen Writing. Also, just a little bit, I was thinking about commissioning my cousin to come up with a new logo for us at some point.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
But he's a very well-paid professional now, so that would cost us, even with, whatever discount he'll give me and stuff, that would cost a bit, probably like $150, I'd imagine.
Well, I mean,
it's not bad, but it would be an actual original custom logo, not one I created off of templates I found online.
Yeah.
So, folks, if our logo changes anytime soon, you'll see that, but I'll probably do that with the whole redesign in the future. Website will be mostly the same. I like our layout and stuff. I just want to change some of the menus and things. Anyway, thank you for listening. We always appreciate it. Comment below and share, like, and...
Yes.
What's the YouTube?
Smash
the like button.
Smash the like button.
There's no like button on here, is there? If you have a Podbean, you can comment on this.
Yeah.
I don't know if other podcast apps you can. Probably. If not, doesn't matter. We have a YouTube channel you can yell at us on. We get a lot of scammers on there that try to say stuff. You want to be friends? That's what they always say in the comments. You want to be friends? Like, no, I do not. Random avatar. All right, folks. See you later.